For ideal health, you want your potassium to sodium ratio to be around 3:1. Unfortunately, for most people, this ratio is flipped. A typical American diet delivers between 3 to 7 grams of sodium daily. That's more than double the World Health Organization's ideal limit of 2000 milligrams, or roughly 1 teaspoon of salt. The human body contains about 40 liters of water. Now, when we break that down, women's body are made up of roughly 53% water, while men's body contain around 63%. That difference exists because women naturally have more adipose tissue, basically body fat, which doesn't hold water very well. On the other hand, men tend to have more muscle mass, and muscles store a lot more water. Out of that 40 liters, about 37% is found outside the cells in what's called the extracellular fluid. The remaining portion is inside the cells, that is your intracellular fluid. Why is this important? Because the balance of fluid in and around our cells is directly influenced by key electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and chloride. Electrolytes are minerals that carry an electric charge when they dissolve in water. Think of them like spark plugs for your cells. They are essential for nearly every function in the body, regulating hydration, maintaining blood pressure, helping your nerves communicate properly, keeping your muscles, including your heart, contracting smoothly, balancing your body's pH, and even transporting nutrients and removing waste. Now, where these electrolytes live in the body also matters. Sodium, chloride, calcium, and bicarbonate are mostly found in the fluids outside your cells. Meanwhile, potassium, magnesium, and phosphate are stored inside the cells. This separation is crucial because it helps maintain fluid balance and supports all those vital functions I just mentioned. Here's where things get tricky. Our modern diet is heavily skewed towards sodium. Table salt, which we use all the time in cooking and seasoning, is made up of 40% sodium and 60% chloride. Now, on average, a typical American diet delivers between 3 to 7 grams of sodium daily. That's a lot more than the recommended limit. To put this into perspective, the US dietary guidelines recommended no more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day. And what's the global average? It's over 4,300 milligrams per day. That's more than double the World Health Organization's ideal limit of 2,000 milligrams, or roughly 1 teaspoon of salt. Getting enough sodium isn't hard. Even whole foods contain some, but the big problem comes from processed foods, things like daily meats, canned soup, packaged snacks, chips, dressings, and sauces. These are all loaded with added sodium. Now let's talk about potassium, the often neglected hero. Most potassium lives inside our cells, and unlike sodium, you won't find much of it in processed foods. You'll only get enough potassium from real whole foods, bananas, leafy greens, avocados, legumes like dals and beans, and fruits and vegetables. For ideal health, you want your potassium to sodium ratio to be around 3:1. Unfortunately, for most people, this ratio is flipped. We are getting way too much sodium and not nearly enough potassium. When this balance is off, it can cause a range of issues, most notably high blood pressure and water retention. And that's just the beginning. Elevated blood pressure increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, gastric cancer, obesity, osteoporosis, and kidney disease. In fact, it's estimated that nearly 1.9 million deaths each year are linked to excess sodium consumption. But the good news is that there are simple steps you can take right now to reduce your sodium and bring back your electrolytes back into balance. So first is start by eating mostly fresh, minimally processed foods. Remove the salt shaker from the table. When you cook, try using less or even no added salt. Use herbs, spices, lemons, and natural flavorings instead. Switch out your regular table salt for a lower sodium salt that contains potassium. And limit your use of packaged sauces, dressings, and instant foods as much as possible. At the same time, put a real focus on increasing your potassium intake. Load up on fruits and vegetables. Eat your dals and legumes. Snack on banana and aim to get at least 3000 milligrams or 3 grams of potassium per day, ideally even more. If you stick to this protocol for just 21 days, especially if you're dealing with high blood pressure, you'll likely see your numbers improve. Your body will feel more balanced, your energy will improve, and your risk of chronic illness will begin to drop. So don't underestimate the power of these tiny minerals. Electrolytes may be small, but they play a massive role in your overall health. I'm Akash. Thank you for your time.